Hello and a big warm welcome to the Damp Show from me, Damp Sam. Welcome to this week's edition, which is going to be something different. We're going to do a question and answer. So look at these bad boys. So you've got, let's have a look. The Damp Show podcast. That's a belter, isn't it? Imagine having your coffee out of that, eh? So this is from Hero Moto. Remember that? Hello Moto. Hi mate, I have some mycelium growing on a wall and soil in the subfloor. Interestingly, there is a concrete floor in the adjoining room. Do you think there is something about the concrete floor next to a timber floor that can create conditions for dry rot? Definitely. There definitely is. You've got to have... the conditions for dry rot is dark, humid, warm, stifled, no air, not much ventilation, and they're ideal conditions. And what tends to happen is this time of year, you know how humid it's been in like sort of last month, and we had that really hot couple of days. So we had a week where it culminated with temperature going up to around about 30. No, 40, wasn't it? In some places, up to 40. And then I think a couple of weeks later, we had it same again, and it went up to like 35 or something like that. Well, not long after, up here, it absolutely banged it down. So it hammered it down. So what you've got there is you've got warm conditions, and then you've got humid conditions, because that rain, when it hits the floor, it will evaporate up and just make the air humid everywhere. So in your subfloors, if that humid air goes into subfloors, that the conditions are exactly right for dry rot spores to germinate. And I think what we're going to see is round about Christmas time, or even next year, we'll see a lot of dry rot cases coming through in some houses, in some older properties that's not well ventilated. So your subfloor, where you said you've got your concrete floor, that needs to be well ventilated, adequate. These teeth in this morning. Adequately ventilated. There should be a subfloor vent every 1.8 meters. That's according to current building regulations. So have a look round, see if your subfloor vents are adequate. If they're clay, make sure that they're unblocked. Stick a screwdriver through. Make sure they're not blocked up. If it were me, I'd be changing them to Superfloor plastic. So you've got like these plastic ones that's been fetched out. You get a greater volume of air that can go into your subfloor. So my advice is get a competent, qualified person to have a look at your concerns and listen to what they say. You listen to what the findings are, and make sure you do your due diligence. So get somebody that somebody's used before, and that they are what they say they are. And listen, if worst comes to worst, you could always, try and contact me, and I'll do a video call, and if I can see inside subfloor. But you've got to remember this, for me, this requires a site visit, and I'm quite expensive if I'm outside Barnsley for people to helicopter me in. But I am open to flights abroad, Spain, places like this, nice Ibiza. If there's any damp in Ibiza, even you want to get me out on a flight, I'll gladly come and consult. Dubai, I'll come out to Dubai and consult. Just get me a private plane, and I'll be there. So hopefully I've answered that one. I'm launching a digital product in a few weeks, and it's going to be on the Express damp proofing system, and you're going to be able to buy a course on it. So it's aimed at plasterers, but anybody can join in, and it's going to be around about 60 minutes, 90 minutes, a webinar where we're going to talk you through the Express damp proofing system, and this is for any plasterers that's wanting to elevate themselves and get into the lucrative preservation industry. This is your first foot on the ladder, learning this system. So that's a plug for that. We'll get on to this second one. Lily David. Hey Simon. Hey Lily. Please, I need your help. I have kids in this house and I have been begging my housing for help. For help with mould and damp in my house. Is it any way I can get in contact with you? Please, please, I need your help. If you want to contact me, it's Simon at thedampshow.co.uk. Or if you want to contact me via any other companies, it's Simon at alldrydampproofing.com. Simon at Damp and Timber Surveys. Simon at Damp and Timber Survey. .com. And if you want to send pictures to our WhatsApp channel and get me to comment on them, and lately I've been, for the last 6 years I've been doing them for free. It's our WhatsApp is 07973 748 566, and WhatsApp your pictures, description, address, and I'll comment on them for you. I've been doing this for years, so that's my free service. I'm not saying it's going to be free for much longer, but I'm going to try and help all our sort of 6,000 subscribers, and hopefully we'll, because we're a community. This is what I set it up for, to turn this into a community. So we've got your YouTube, we've got your podcast. You can listen to it when you're at the gym. My dulcet tones, and hopefully if you've got any kids that want to send into sleep, put my podcast on in background. my voice should do the trick. Next person, Pickland Pickers. Hi Mr. Pickland Pickers. I have a customer with old river pebbles stone walls. One room struggling with salt coming through. Plaster is all sound. What's the best was, I'm sure that's best was of stopping it coming through? If I don't get this, because is it I'd have to have more information on this, which is you might hear me saying this a lot through the podcast, because I just said it, because the I'm doing it again, and it's brought your attention to it now, hasn't it? If you've got salts coming through, is it coming through plaster, or is it coming through the pebbles on the outside? I don't know whether this is on the inside or outside. You're saying the plaster is sound. Does that mean the plaster is sound? It's not blown. There's no decoration spoil. You've just got salts coming through. If you have got salts coming through, that is contamination of the plaster, and you'd need to remove that and then replaster in accordance with BS 6576, which says you need to put a salt retardant plaster on it. So so what that means is there's different replastering systems that you can use. So I'd say probably something like that. I'd say you could put something with a high lime in it. Some lime plasters are good. I don't know whether, but they're not silicone made. I was watching somebody mix some lime plaster up the other day, and it looks as though it's not just an old lime mix what I used when I was first plastering at college. It looks as though they've got some types of chemicals in it. So when people are saying that this new pre-mixed lime plasters are all natural. I don't believe it. I don't believe it one bit. They'd got some strands in it, and they used to use horsehair and I don't know, cow hair as well. Horsehair, cow hair as a binder. And when I was watching this guy mixing this pre-mixed stuff up in a bucket, I don't know whether they just added water or added a bit of water to it. There were strands in it, and to me they look like fiberglass. Somebody can correct me and send and put it in comments. Tell me what it actually is. But it had like a sheen to it as well. It didn't look like the lime mortar or plaster that we used to use at college, which basically was sand and lime. So back in the day, sand, lime, and a binder. You used hydraulic lime. Is it hydrated lime, not hydraulic. Hydraulic lime would be going up. So yeah, I'd need to look a bit more at that. I'd have to have a bit more information. But if you have got salts coming through, it sounds as though that plaster might need hacking off and then a better system putting in. Next one. Ian Pritchard. If that's Ian in picture, got a right head of hair, Ian. Right mane there. Bit like a young damp Sam. Mine were like that when I was younger. Them days have gone. Yep, have gone. I wish you were local to me to refurb my 200-year-old cottage. Ian, if I were local to you, you could get on phone to me and I'd be straight down and I'd have a look at it and I'd help you do whatever you want. But again, if you've got any questions and you want to send pictures, send them to our WhatsApp 07973 748 566 and I'll gladly comment on them the best I can, knowing that the pictures and it's not a site visit. So I hope I've answered that for you. Who we got next? Harley Quinn, 7 days ago. Wow. And then there's like an emoji with a brain burst. See, the thing is, I can't go into these videos what they're commenting on, and I've done 500 and odd videos for YouTube, probably more now. It might be up to 600. So I'm trying to look at little picture on side, and I don't know which video it is, but it says at the top, get a free. Oh, no, that's an advert. Yeah, so Harley Quinn, you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome. I don't know what I've blown your mind with, but you're welcome. Hi, Simon. Oh, this is Coxey. 1984. 1984, that was the year that, first year that I started plastering. Started in 83. My first year was September to September. So 83 to 84. And it was start at miners' strike. And that shaped Damp Sam into who I am today, because there was no work. There was no work, no future. The youngers think they've got it bad now. Back in 1984, when I left school when I was 17, we'd got nuclear war hanging over us with Russians, Cold War, we'd got miners' strike, there were no work about, and you just had to try the best you could to make a living. Things have changed. Things have changed a lot, and it is a lot for the better. And there's winners and losers and everything. Some people are worse off. Some people are better off. Not down to me, but you know what I mean? You've got to play a hand that you dealt with. You've got to try and make the most of what you've got. That's philosophical Sam. So we've got Coxey. Hi, Simon. I'm a plasterer, and I've recently done the PCA Damp Surveyors course. Brilliant. Fantastic, Coxey. I hope to see you at the the PCA damp proofing. No, it's not damp proof. PCA annual winners awards that they have every year. So if you see me there staggering about, I'll have had too much wine, but it's a brilliant night. So I've recently done the PCA damp surveyors course, studying up at the moment to put myself in for the last, put myself in the test early next year, not last. I have to say, watching your videos and listening to the podcast have really helped. So thank you very much and keep up the great work. Cheers. Coxie, that's brilliant. We get trolls. It's not so many on here now on YouTube, but we get quite a lot of trolls on Facebook. And a lot of them are plasterers, which is a shame. And the reason why we get trolled is the plasterers have been taught one way. Are to some plasterers. I'm not going to generalize here. So some plasterers only know one way are to damp proof, and they've done replastering after damp proofing, and they've been shown by somebody who's been shown by somebody who's been shown. They've not necessarily been on a course, or if they have been on a course, they've been shown one way. I know every single way that there is. I know every company's system, every one of them, and I've used every company's system. I've used them all. There's no plasters and stuff like that I ain't used. I've used lime. I've used everything. So I've got quite a opinion on what is best for which wall. And when I've done these videos on express damp proofing system, it's plasterers can't. There's a lot of them, and they can't handle it in the mines, because there's all they see is a plasterboard being stuck onto a wall, and they just think cowboy. He's a cowboy. And I think some of them think that I've invented this system, and it's not. It's Safeguard. Safeguard are the people that invented dry zone cream. The first company to fetch the dry zone creams out. First company to drill and inject the mortar course rather than the bricks. Market leaders. They were the ones that fetched out Dryflex, which the innovative, English weren't my best subject at school. Desk banging and plasticine, that were my forte. So the market leaders. They're not the biggest of the companies, but they're the market leaders, and a lot of other companies have followed and imitated what they've done and done it to a decent standard, and that's why you get cheaper products and more expensive products. So when plasterers see this system, me putting it on and just sticking a plasterboard on, or what they think is me sticking a plasterboard on, because there's a bit more to it than that. They just think, cowboy, he's sticking a plasterboard on. That can't be right. They just can't comprehend it. It won't comprehend, because they don't know how damp affects walls of buildings. They don't know. So, and this is why I say, go and get educated like this lad. The course I'm doing, which is this digital product, it's aimed at plasterers from around about 30 to in the 50s. There's a lot of plasterers out there that are really intelligent. Believe it or not, they're really intelligent. When they're skimming, they sit there all day and they're thinking. Your brain's going all the time. You don't just do it and switch off. You're thinking all the time. It's the loneliest trade. I remember somebody once said about long distance running, the loneliest sport. Well, plastering is the loneliest trade. The loneliest trade. Especially if you're on your own. You're in an house, you've got room to skim. That brain is going round and round and round. When I was younger, and I was going through girlfriends like a knife through butter, you'd split up with one, and you'd just be thinking about it all day. Jealousy, all sorts. I'm not like that now. You know what I mean? I grew out of that when I was, when I got into me, I don't know, into my 30s, probably when I met Mel. But yeah, so you're just thinking all the time, thinking. And if you do suffer from any issues, plasterers, contact Andy's Shed. Is it Andy's Shed? There's a lot of places out there. Andy's Shed. Get and talk to somebody. Don't let it fester. Not many plasterers topless ends. Not many I know anyway. Not in Barnsley. I'm just trying to think. Maybe that's because they're exercising the brain all the time and they're doing something. Can't afford to topless ends. There's too much work to do. So yeah. So brilliant. That's brilliant. But my point was, what I was trying to get through is this: plasterers are ready made to go into our industry. They're ready made to come into the preservation industry, which is more lucrative. You save more time. There's more demand. 25 million properties in England, Britain, and they've all got to be maintained. While ever it rains, there'll always be damp issues, and this is why I try and get plasterers to come over into our industry. Plasterers are ideal for the preservation industry because a lot of replastering after damp proofing work is different systems. So if a plasterer can do all these different systems, sand and cement, leak weight plasters, sticking a plasterboard on, putting the plastic on, then they can easily, earn money in our industry. And then once they're in, this is when you start doing your learning. So my course is the first foot on the ladder, and then you go and do your PCA technician's course, and then from there, if you want to do your surveying course, invest in yourself, get on surveying course. Plasterers will find it interesting because the course is about property, and it's property that they're in. If they know about how a property is built, and when you're doing your exams at college, when I was doing my plastering exams, one of the things when we were in theory was you had to do how a house was built from footings right up to roof, just so you had that idea of where everything fitted. And that's Barnsley College, which was brilliant for me. So Coxie, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, pal. Let me know how you go on. Keep me informed. Keep emailing me. Put my email on. Let me know how you go on. And if you need any advice, let me know. I'll give you some free advice. Everybody learns differently. How I did it was this. I used to get up on a morning. When I had my breakfast, I'd have all my books out, and they'd give you old exam sheets. So I just used to go through old exam sheets, old questions, and then I'd read through stuff. And then I'd go to work, come back in, and then do the same again. Sit and eat my tea, have another hour. And I did that for about a month. Probably longer, actually. I just kept doing it. And I did fail some of my exams, and I retook them. Straight in, retook them, till I passed. And that's what you've got to do. Don't be too disappointed if you fail one of them. Because I think there's 3 exams that you've got to do. No, I think there's more. Health and safety, timber, and your oral. And there might be 4 or 5, actually. There might be 4 or 5. But stick in there. Miles McDermott. McD, he's been on here. If you want to have a look at Miles's episode, have a look through podcast. Miles, he's got a company, Air Global. He's a director at Air Global, and if you want to know about them, they do design for Kellogg's. Brilliant company, fast growing. I think they got an award for North's fastest growing media company or something like that. So Miles has put, good episode this on Gav's on Dry Gav's podcast. I think that's because we all know each other, so we all go out. Thank you, Miles. Next one. This is from How to Hack Plaster Off for Damp Work Correctly. One of the bonuses that I'm going to give. This is one of the bonuses for the course that I'm doing. One of the bonuses is going to be a kind of a mini course on how to hack plaster off, because it's not it is an exact science in itself, knocking off. There's different ways to do it, and looking for wires, pipes, and different types of plasters and things like that you knock off. Some that's harder than others. What you do when you get to a plug socket. So that I think that's going to be one of the free bonuses. I've not done it yet, but that's going to be one of the free bonuses. This one is Bechel Khan. See, that's my Spanish accent coming out, because I'm learning Spanish at the minute. Well, I've been learning it for 4 years. And yeah. So when there's a B-I-J... so I'm tipping there's a yeah. So Behan Khan. I'm tipping the plaster. Listen, I'm reading this how they write it, so and then I'll try and fill in gaps how I think that it should say. I'm tipping the plaster off, looking for an experienced person doing it. Show some examples, please. Work away. So I think he's saying I'm taking the plaster off. And looking for experienced person doing it. So he's looking for a video of somebody taking plaster off. I have done one, and I think what I did it for the this course that I'm going to be doing. So if you want to sign up, Mr. Khan, if you want to sign up for the digital product course, you'll get that free. And but I will try and do something in future. If next job that we're doing, I'll look back through my videos, and I might even put that video on, because a lot of it's pictures of me talking over these pictures and explaining stuff on this course that we're doing. So I might be able to look back and get this video and stick it on. So yeah, bear with me with that. I'll try my best for you, Mr. Khan. Next one is Short Thought. Yeah, that was it. Short Thought. I'm trying. Yes. Standard practice in traditional or heritage homes. Oh, have you ever seen a slate DPC? So he's gone, yes. Standard practice in traditional or heritage homes. Yeah, it depends what area you live in, though, doesn't it, Mr. Short Thought? Because heritage, what do you class as a heritage home? Round here, we've got houses that's 120 years old, which is your standard terraced house. Yeah, your standard terraced house is 120 years old, and majority of them up here ain't got them, because they were built. They'd got no money. The pit houses and stuff. A lot of bigger houses have not got them either. Generally, all houses after 1919 are built with a damp-proof course. And they say majority of houses before 1919 is built without them. Now, it's totally wrong, but you have to have a reference point. So properties pre-1919 are called traditional houses, and properties after 1919 are called modern houses. They're just classed as that, for sake of argument, because everybody might be using a different date. So they stuck a pin in a map and said, that's it, that's your reference point. With the PCA, Graham Coleman did a thing on rising damp, fact or fiction, and it's on YouTube. Brilliant thing for anybody that says it's a con. anybody that says that it doesn't exist or whatever, he's got, I think, earliest production something like 1717. Earliest, sorry, reference to rising damp is something like 1717 in National Thing of Architects, and there's some in I think they're in health magazines, and it referenced rising damp and people's health and things like that. So have a look on his YouTube video, Rising Damp, Fact or Fiction, Graham Coleman. Really interesting. He references all that, and he puts all clips on from these publications, which is 17 odd. So yeah, so and these reference to damp proof courses, around about 18th century, 17th century. So there you go. It's not all. It's not. They're not all. Well, I think that's what that some of them used. They might have used that, and I think when it got round to 19th century, when they used a poured bitumen. So there were different things, different ways to use to put a damp proof course in. Next one. This is from Why Is My Chimney Breast Damp? This what video, I think. And this is from Intrepid Bun. Hi Sam, love the videos. Love your subscription, mate. Love your subscription. In fact, I love all subscribers. Love you all. We have a similar issue on our chimney breast, which is now blocked off to our flat wall. It will be hacked off, tanked. My question is, does the air vent, air brick, need to be sited? No, there's only one T, not double T. Sited on the breast front, or can it be sited round the side to avoid cosmetic problem of the vent being smack in the middle of the wall? Cheers. If you can get in front side, that's not an issue. A lot of these older chimney breasts will have had a fire in and a back boiler, and pipes would have come out at side and then gone up through floor of the house. So if you can find that hole, stick it in there. You might not have to knock any bricks out. But the reason why we put them in front is because normally you can. There's a hole there and flues there. If you're going in front side, you're going to have to go through quite a few thicker bricks, because it's normally two. Well, it's normally a brick thick, isn't it, on side? Sometimes more, and they're normally fire bricks, so they're hard as nails. So that's the issue. Yeah, if you can get in through side, get in through side, mate. Let's have another look. What we got next? Muscle Stone Brick Solutions. Hi, Muscle Stone Brick Solutions. Can you use this on Fresh Lime Repointing? So this is storm dry masonry product cream applied to renovated. I can't see a thing, but it's a video where I went up. It's one of the properties that I've got, and we went up onto roof, got a scaffold up there, and chimney had started dropping down. So I got a brickie built chimney back up, and we put storm dry on the stone of the chimney breast, just on the chimney stack, just to give it a longer life. Storm dry masonry, again, this was invented by Safeguard, and like I said, leaders, a lot of other companies, they've all got their own masonry protection, and it's all based on storm dried. It's all a cream, but Safeguard storm dry is guaranteed for 25 years, so you've got a longer life with that. I'm not saying other ones aren't, but if you use storm dry masonry products, I think you can get 5% VAT on it, because it's part of to do with insulation and things like that. It keeps the wall at a warmer temperature than if that wall were wet. So once you've painted it on, rainwater will bead up and run off rather than soak in. Hence keeps it so many degrees warmer. So it will part of government's thing, 5% VAT. So yeah, can you use this on Fresh Lime Repointing? Yep, no problem, because what it does is once you've pointed it up, you've got capillaries which are in masonry and stuff like that, which are little small pathways through masonry. And what storm dry does is it coats the inside, so it allows water vapor to pass through. So it still, I hate using this word, but it still breathes. So that's just because people out there understand water vapor going in and out as it breathing. I hate that term, but that's just me being an oddball. Sorry, but yeah. So it just coats inside. It don't block the capillaries. It don't block all things like a silicon sealer would. Your silicon sealers is Thompson water seal. Once you paint that on, it blocks all surface. But what storm dry does is that soaks into your masonry, whereas Thompson water seal is just on the surface, and weather over years will just erode that. So you might get a couple of years after it, but it does block it. So that causes its own issues. So muscle stone brick solutions, yes. Any of these questions, if you're wanting a quicker solution, if the question's about products, just go on to, you can Google these products and Google company. They've got technical fact sheets, or you can even ring their technical department and just ask them. So that might be a quicker way, right? It's nice for me to answer his content, but that's another way. Just ring their technical department up and ask. So we've got Home and Garden Diaries. This is 2 weeks ago. This is from a video. Secure your property with a trust. Secure your property. Right, yeah. So this was, yeah. So he says, thanks for the great info. We'll do this with my house. So this video that I did, I think we were talking about my mum and dad's property. So what we did with that is it was before my dad died. So when we found out that the people were getting their houses took off them if they went into care, plus a lot of other reasons, because there's loads of other reasons, but we decided to put my mum and dad's house into a trust for me and my sister, and it's been in a trust for 9 years now. So it's not like that we've done it straight away, but if whatever happens to my mum, council can't take this house off us that she's worked all her life for, and she's paid all her national insurance, she's paid all her taxes to be able to be looked after if she does need medical help, like most people in this country. And I just find it awful that councils can take these properties off people and use that money to think. And I know that it's not a infinite pot what governments have got, but there should be a certain age of people that, what I'm trying to say is this they fetched this law in straight away, and it became fact. What they should have said is it should only be that law for people born in that year. So when they get to that age, that's when it should come in. Not people who were paying taxes thinking that they could get assistance, and that we've got like a free medical national health system, and it's just not there anymore. So this video I did just on about how we did it. Went to the solicitors, and how I did it, and it's just being savvy. It's being savvy. It's not a loophole. It's just there in black and white. You can do it. You can put your house in a trust for your kids, and it's not like we own it. If my mum wants to sell it, she can sell it, but at some point money has to go into trust. So yeah, have a look into that. It cost us at time about 800 quid to do it, which I forked out because I know it made sense. It made sense to do it. So yeah, Roman Gardens, get it done. So this was from Northern AD. Nice shirt, pal. Thank you, Northern AD. No more jazzy shirts now. We've got these ones now, which is the Damp Show podcast. So I've invested in these merch. And if anybody's wanting one, I might do a competition or something, because I ain't got loads of them. So if you get one of these, you're honoured. And these get given to guests that come on the show. So if I do an interview, they get one of them. I took Ellen's up. Got one for. I took Mark's up, and I've got one for Mo. Got one for Rob, and I'm trying to think of other guests. So anyway, you get one. Just ask me for it. That's Northern AD, and he comments on other. This is a comment on how to damp proof a small wall like a boss. Yep, like a boss. I would like to. This is Northern AD. I would like to know if anyone outside of Yorkshire and Derbyshire can understand you. I bet the Americans are totally lost. And then underneath he put, I do like an Adele video. Right, so he likes an Adele video. I can't remember. I can't remember what it was. It must have been me just talking as I'm plastering, and I probably do get more northern when I'm on site. All I'll say is this. I think I mentioned it. I mentioned this on last video. Americans love our accent, and they think that we are from a history, a time in history, because in Yorkshire we talk the proper Queen's English. So we say words that are, I don't know, that are from back in the day. It's from a medieval time, more than medieval. So yeah, and we're just keeping it going. So we don't want to lose his accent. And I like anybody with an accent. I like anybody with an accent. So my mum's from Newcastle. She's from Jubilee Estate. And I think my granddad's grandma, I know this is going back a few centuries, but I think one were from Scotland and then other were from Ireland. So yeah, so somewhere down there's some Celtic stuff going on. But I don't think I'm going to change. I think when I'm trying to talk posher, or trying to talk without my accent, it makes me have to think. And if I have to think, I start forgetting stuff. My brain gets overloaded. So it's easier for me to just talk in Yorkshire than as old cock. Yeah, all right. And I don't think I talk as I'm not as my dialect is not as heavy as some in Barnsley. Some are a lot worse than me. A lot worser. Oh, we've got one here. We a name I've not heard for a bit, which is great. So this is Gavin Williams. Hi, Gav. Peter Ward makes me laugh. saying rising damp doesn't exist. Yet, Victorians were putting slate DPC in every house built today has one. Oh, and every house built today has one. Why bother if it's a myth? Exactly. So, listen, conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists make money. There's at the end of the day, we're storytellers in England, and if somebody's got a story to tell, people will listen, and some people will believe. Peter's got his own agenda, and Peter's making money doing what Peter does. He's wrote books. You know, good luck to him. He's got some good points, and he gets picked up on some of his bad points. So, which creates controversy, which gets his name kind of bandied about. Like mine in religious circles now, they'll be all spitting on me because I've mentioned that about Jesus. My opinion, look, listen, it's my opinion. Listen, if Peter wants to come on my show and talk about his damp proofing and stuff like that, and why he can come on. Listen, I'm not biased. I make a living doing what I do because I know that what I do is works. The systems I put in work, and the systems that I put in will be guaranteed for 10 years, and that will be a dry wall for 10 years once we've finished. There's different systems for different types of damp. Not all damp is rising, and I think this is. I mean, we all agree these areas are damp. Rising damp is not as prevalent as other damp issues these days. Back in the 70s, you know, everybody were putting damp courses in, and one of the biggest issues in our industry is misdiagnosis. Is people going to houses and saying, this all needs hacking off 1.2 metre higher, you need another a damp proof course putting in. And they're putting damp proof courses in properties that's got damp proof courses in. And I think Peter gets called to properties where qualified people have made mistakes, and where unqualified people have made mistakes, and he will highlight them. And listen, there's good and bad in every company. Just because a company's a market leader don't mean to say people that work for them are market leaders. They might have the systems, but are the people that work for them going to follow them systems to the letter? No. And this is what the issue can be when you grow a company. What I do is bespoked, because I survey it and I go and do work, and I make sure, and I know that it's good, that it's right, because I'm doing it. Now, I have had lads that's worked for me before, but you can't watch them 24 hours. You can only try and train them up. But if they decide they don't want to do it right, they want to get off, they want to get to pub or whatever, there's a football match on, I want to get home, they're going to cut corners. And this is what happens in every industry. There's corners cut in every industry, national health system, everywhere. But it gets highlighted by Peter, rightly so. If they've done a bad job, listen, I'm not saying he shouldn't say out, but Peter's got his own agenda. Peter's he's put himself out there, and he's got his name known for basically saying that rising damp don't exist. So I ain't watched any of his videos for a long time. I don't know if he's still making them, but Peter, if you want to come and sit with me with a cup of tea and just chat about it, let's chat about it. You know what I mean? It's you're more than welcome to come up here and have a chat. He comes across as a nice bloke, and I don't want to tell a story about it. Have a look at his video. He does a video. In fact, I ought to do I think he did a video, didn't I? But, you know, these like going through his video, what he says. I ought to do one of them, because they were a company that fetched these. They look like spaceships, I forget what they call company. And in fact, this video might have even been took down because I ain't seen it for ages. And it was like a little metal spaceship, and Peter took it. Peter took it to pieces. And basically, there were notes inside. But this company said that if you hung this in a cellar, it dried all the cellar out. And I know the story about. I know who these people are, who main company is, and they're not to be messed with. And I think he might have messed with wrong people by taking it to bits and slandering them a bit. Well, I don't know if he was slandering. I don't think he was slandering them because he took it to bits and there were notes inside. But they said that they dried a church out in Germany and stuff. It should be still on there. I might have a look for that and then go through it and just just see what I think now. Because it's a few years ago when I saw it. So yeah, Peter, come on, let's have a coffee and let's have a chat. Right. What's next then? Ronald White, 3 weeks ago. Are there any subtitles? I'm not rate tech. If I could get subtitles on, I'd get them on. But I know that all words would be wrong. So it's like I've seen them on my TikTok videos because we have them edited and they'll put. I've seen them on other people's. You're listening to them and words words are wrong. I've seen them on YouTube videos. So, but I'll look at putting some subtitles on because you might get a few words that are right. It might be better for you. But I mean, one of the things is what you really need to do is you don't want to be looking at writing going across page when you've got my handsome good looks on. So yeah, there you go. Jesse, 3 weeks ago. Hi Sam, I've recently bought a house and had some damp proofing done. When taking off the skirting, I noticed the gap where the air brick is, but they didn't mention anything about it. Should I do something to make sure it doesn't affect the new damp course? Or will putting a cowl on it be enough? Thanks. I don't really understand that. When taking off the skirting, I've noticed there's a gap where the air brick is. Is there a gap in flooring? Is there a gap from flooring to wall? If there's cold air coming through it, yeah, put a cowl on outside because what that'll do is you've got wind which is rushing against your building, and it'll go straight through your air brick. So if you put a cowl on, it just stops that air going vertically. It will sort of get in, so you get fresh air, but it just stops that blast going straight through. So yeah, if you think you're having issues, stick a cowl on. You can buy them online. Yeah, just stick it on. Stops it going through. There you go, Jess. This is from When Basement Conversions Go Wrong video. So some guy on the internet, that's a good name, isn't it? 6K for this. 6K for this conversion seems reasonably cheap. Even you'd need to panel the walls, add a sump to suck the water out. You need drainage unless you're above sea level, and rain can't flood the basement. All building materials let water through, especially when age cracks it. I can't remember video. So I don't know that I can comment on that because like I said, I've done 600 videos nearly, I think. So there's a picture, but I can't really yeah. If it's a cellar, have it converted properly. That's all we'll say. I think that's all I can say on that one. Gavin Williams. Hi, Gav. A lot of Gavins on today, isn't there? There's one that's not here, and then there's a couple of Gavins that's coming up. I wonder if it's the same Gav and he's just putting his maiden names on or something. Hi, Simon. Recently foamed plasterboard onto a solid wall, but didn't use any salt neutralizing? Will I have any trouble? I recently foamed plasterboard onto a solid wall. I recently foamed plasterboard. I'm wondering if his means is put there's a new system. That's not new. No, it's not new. It's years old. But rather than use wet plasterboard adhesive now, you can put a foam on back. And we use a lot of this for fixing our boards as well. So you've got Instastick, you've got pink. I think there's pink foam. Everbuild do one. There's quite a few do them, and you put it basically you spray it on back of plasterboard in lines. You wait 5 minutes, and then you ease it onto the wall and hold it in position. I think he means he's done that. A lot of these foams are polyurethane, and polyurethane is kind of waterproof. If you left it in water for weeks on end, it'd get affected. But when you're putting them on a wall, it's like an ingress what's coming through. It's not and water vapor that's coming through. It's not sat in water all the time. So I think you're going to be all right, mate. I think you'll be all right with that, as long as your plasterboard is not actually touching masonry. So and bridging. So you just keep it off at plasterboard. Hope that answers your question. Why have this what name it video? Why have these floor timbers rotted after 6 years? Oh, it's Gavin Williams again. Hi, Gav. Hi, Simon. I recently foamed. Oh, I'm reading wrong. Same question. Why is my chimney breast damp? This is from that video. Why is my chimney breast damp? You may have just saved me 2K. This is Penry Thomas. There you go. Saving money up and down country. That's Damp Sam. Brilliant. I hope I have saved him some money. I think what he's meaning is he was probably going to get a roofer. So what we say about if you've got your chimney breast, you get sulfate salts that's forming on top of chimney breast. You think that water's coming in through down chimney and flashings have gone. So you get roofer up there to start with. There might be a bit of damage. So roofer does a bit of work because he's come out there. He's not gonna say there's no top, is he? So he's gonna do a pottering about. Then he's gonna tell you it's cost whatever. Next time it rains, sulfate salts absorb moisture. It looks like water's coming in again. So what they'll do is they ring up again. Roof, it's still leaking. Roofer goes up again. Does a bit more, takes some slates out, whatever, charges them a bit more, goes away. Oh, it's all sorted tonight, it's all sealed. Next time it rains, shows up wet again, rings roofer up. Roofer's scratching his ear. Oh, I don't know what it could be. Some roofers will just keep doing bits and bits and bits and bits, taking more money and money and money and money. But what it is sulfate salts. So they might have fixed whatever problem is at top, whether it's flaunching, cracks in flaunching, flashings, cowls on top of thing. But people will spend a fortune before, ring an expert or somebody that knows will say, yeah, your plaster's contaminated. If it's fixed up top, you just need that cutting out and isolating. So that's an issue, and I have to keep telling people this because I know our subscribers probably have heard it, but there might be new people. I mean, there's 7.5 billion people in the world. I need to get to tell them. This is from Aussie FC 44. This is 4 weeks ago, so it's production line to property investing with Helen Woodacre. So this were a 2-part podcast that I did with Helen, and it's a good episode. So if you can go and listen to that, she's been on Coach Trip, which were on Channel 4. She's been on Deal or No Deal, or Deal or No Deal, and she won a substantial amount of money. I'm not going to tell you because if you go to listen to episode, it'll be a surprise for you. I've just bought my house outright with money from an inheritance. Win-win. And it was right to buy house. We got 57% off the asking price because we lived here for 27 years. So we got it fairly cheap. If we sell within the next 5 years, we'd have to pay that discount back. But I'm thinking of trying to get a buy-to-let property. What's the best way of going about it? Cheers, Simon. Easiest way is to rent it out. So, easiest thing. I mean, I don't know whether you've got a mortgage to buy that with 57% discount. But what I'd be looking at, I'd be wondering whether you can remortgage. I don't know how much equity you've got in there. So if you could remortgage the council house and then use that lump sum that you get from that to put down as a deposit on another property, which you can use as a buy-to-let, so that you can live in either one. So you can either rent that one out that you've got a discount and then live in new one, or do it other way around. So that's what you do. You don't have to use all that money to buy the property outright. You use it as a deposit. So you might have to pay 25% deposit on a mortgage, on another mortgage. So that'd be the easiest way of doing it. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, so always seek expert advice from a proper financial advisor. But that sounds like one of the best ways to do it. So remortgage, get a deposit, pay a deposit, get another mortgage on another. But there might be better ways of doing it. I mean, if you listen to Kevin McDonald's No Money Down podcast and his training, if you go to his training, he's got methods and systems to get properties without putting a penny in your own money. It's amazing. There's different ways. There's landlords out there that's got properties that they're just using, they're wanting as a pension. So if you can go and look at that property, turn it into a serviced accommodation, and we're right to buy after 5 years, give them a guaranteed rent each month, and then you look at different ways of adding value to property and getting more rent, and then draw some figures up with a solicitor that you're gonna buy that in 5 years. Property goes up in value after 5 years, might even double. So then you get it. Then you can get a mortgage on that property and buy it at the price that you've agreed at. So there's absolutely loads of different ways to buy property for free. But you need to go on training courses. So go on to Progressive Property and look at Kevin McDonald's courses. And I'm daft me because they were gonna give me a code where I could put on here, and you could sort of go on, and I'd get like a kickback if people signed up to courses. But I ain't done it ever. I ain't done it. So this is from a video working on a course aimed at plasterers. And Horn42 has put, "I'm interested." So this is the digital product course that I've been on about. So Mr. Horn42, send me your email address. Send me your email address to simon@thedampshow.co.uk, and when we get this digital product finished and ready to go to market, we'll contact you, and you can watch the free webinar. And if it's for you, you can come on the proper course. So there's going to be a free webinar, and you can listen to me telling you all about this express damp proofing system and what bonuses you're going to get as well, free bonuses as well, and there's some beauties. So there you go. Yeah, so get in contact. I think I must be getting down to the bottom now because this is a month ago. So let's have a look. This is from video how to make your dry flex membrane blend in. And this was one of the shorts that I did. And this is from XRP 1986. Sam, question mate. Can you put a damp-proof membrane sheets over the wall that have damp on them? Obviously solve the problem from the outside wall and then put a drywall partition in front, then board that for the finish. Would that be okay? Instead of knocking back to brick. So this is like it's one of them. So when you learn how moisture affects buildings in different ways and different types of damp that there is. So you've got penetrating, condensation, lack of ventilation, rising damp, lateral damp, burst pipes, all these different types of damps. This is why I'll go in and I'll have a look and I'll say, right, this is a system that we need to do. Now there's a standard way of doing things. So there's guides. So British standards are guides, and they'll tell you this is what you need to. This is height that you need to knock it off at. So it used to be a meter, and now they're saying 1.2, sometimes 1.5. But it all depends on what you think as a plasterer. You're going to be guaranteeing it. So if you can, for me, if I can get away with making less mess, I'll try and get away with making less mess. So if I think, if it has got rising damp and it's, I don't know, it's up 300 mil. If I, because this is what they say, knock off up to a meter or 300 mil after last signs of dampness. So you don't have to specifically knock it off a meter or 120. You can go, right, well, that's up 300 mil on wall. I don't think it's going to rise any further if we put as damp proof course in. This is if it's rising damp. If it's low level damp, that's a different issue. If it's lateral damp, again, a different issue. Salts, different issue. So I'm kind of sitting on fence here, but what I'm saying is every damp job is different, and every damp job has to be looked at differently. And we aren't any pictures or we aren't any site visit, I'd be struggling to kind of advise you. So I think if you've got contaminated plaster, all contaminated plaster needs to come off. That's what I'd say. If you're isolating salts, so if it's a chimney breast and you're isolating them salts, you're putting dry flex over it, then your plaster needs to be sound. So that's what I'd say. And then you've got to have no bridging. So when you put your system on, you've got to look that your finish that's going to go on top of that is not going to be bridged anywhere. So it's not going to be touching any of them salts anywhere, because they will come through. But if it's totally isolated, then if you've isolated all these sulfate salts and then skimmed it and blended it in, then you'll not have an issue. You shouldn't have an issue. Here we go. Somebody's just put like emojis on. So Sean Fuller, I don't even know what emojis they are. It just looks like oddball writing. Explain yourself. Single man, reveal yourself. So this is a comment on our most popular video, which is the one that's on the front of the YouTube site when you come on. Me going, hi, I'm Simon from All Dry Damp Proofing. It goes through me every time it comes on, because I'll click on YouTube thing, and then when it comes on, it starts to play straight away. And I hear that straight away, and I have to pause it. So yeah. Patricia Waits, a month ago. So this is a comment on the biggest kept secret in damp proofing. it's not that big a secret now. That's the only thing where I've left titled here because it's done all right so far. This was done in my house ×2. Now damp is showing through. The wallboard and the joists are wet. We didn't have a problem till we were injected. Condition of mortgage. Our house was built in 1984. Again, I'd need more details. So if you can send me some pictures and a video to our WhatsApp group, which is 07973 748 566. I'll have a look at it, and you'd have to give me a bit more information. I'd need to know what system that they've done. They definitely wouldn't have done that in 1984. Sorry, our house was built in 1884, not 1984. So I'm not sure what system they've used. So and which areas is now damp, because if it's been done correctly, the dots that you put on, which is dry grip's waterproof, so they shouldn't be out coming through. The plasterboard's held off the wall. So only thing I can think is if they've gone up to a door casing, they've not took all damp plaster out at door casing and it's bridging on there, or they've sat the plasterboard onto a solid floor, which would cause bridging as well. Or there might be a leaking pipe on a radiator. There could be loads of different issues. Best thing to do is get a company out that originally did it. I don't know whether you're trying to say that they won't come back out, but yeah, I'd need a lot more information. And if it's me that's done it, I thought you'd have emailed me. It's definitely not me that's done it. Don't recognise Patricia Witts. But if I'd have done it, they'd have probably contacted me via email, because we send all our stuff out by email. She want to come on here first. Definitely not. And one of the things that this is one of the things that this system, why this system is so good. I've been doing it 6 years. This system, we haven't had one issue, not one single issue from any one that we've installed. When I used doing sand and cement, so before, like when I first started in 2000 doing it, doing damp proofing and set up all dry damp proofing, we used sand and cement render. We render light gold in it, which is a damp proofing additive, and that allows moisture to go in and out. It's not like a K11 where it blocks it. But I used to get issues all the time, and what it was, if we did it on an external wall, you got cold thermal bridging. So because it's a sand and cement render and it's solid, that'd be cold. And if they had inadequate ventilation inside property, then condensation would form on that cold wall, and then they'd be ringing up saying damp's come back. And this was before I'd done all my courses and my ventilation courses. So we'd be going and I'd be scratching my head. And I'd be thinking, well, and then what we used to do is we used to make a scratch in plaster. So if you do that in the finish, you can if you've got like a damp patch on corner, you make a scratch. If it's like a lighter powder underneath, you know that it's not coming from back. I got slated for this actually on a video. Scratching back. Anyway, so that's what you need to do. Let's have a look. This was doing, yeah. So bit more information. Anthony Parker. Tony. I have a 22-year-old bungalow built of stone. No, I have a 22-year-old bungalow built of stone-looking concrete blocks, cavity wall ties, and breeze block inner skin. However, the garage wall is only a single stone-looking block. At certain times of the year, when the rain is driving on this elevation, water finds its way through, but only the bottom meter. Can you recommend a quick fix for this problem? Regards, Anthony. So this is what I'm going to say. Is it kind of links into that. you'd have to get somebody to have a look and just make sure, is it water coming in? I'd say that could be cold thermal bridging. That could be condensation forming on the coldest point, which would be bottom. So this is what you need to do. You need to get somebody to look at your ventilation, test it, scratch it. Well, you can't, can you? It's onto the thing. He said it were blocks. I'd say it could be cold thermal bridging, but you need somebody to make sure that that it is that. Else you're going to be spending a fortune putting insulated board on. I mean that might work. Putting insulated board on, even if it's cold thermal bridging, you put insulated board on, it'll warm that surface up. But if you've got inadequate ventilation, you've still got high humidity. If it is a garage, yeah, it is a garage. If it's a garage, is there a garage door? Is the cold air going in? I think if there's cold air running across that first, coming underneath garage, it's going to hit that first meter anyway. So I'd be looking at condensation problems there. Make sure you get an expert in and have a look. But it sounds like it's condensation and cold thermal bridging. Condensation forming on a cold spot. And I don't know if there's much you can do about it in a garage, but yeah. So I'd look at that if I were you, Anthony. Sorry. Right. So I'm aware at time we're getting up to an hour and a half. I'm going to make this last question for everybody. So one more question, and that's going to be it. So this is from a video. Mastic asphalt is yours bridging. So Pool Bear says, with these 10-year guarantees, have you used it with a company, say 8 years after, or even heard of any company honouring it? Or would you put the phone down on a customer? No, we'd never put the phone down on a customer. First thing I'd do is this. So I've mentioned it before. So what I do is this: if any of our customers have got an issue, which, like I said, I can't remember last time that there were an issue, but what we do is we'll say, because we've got you've got to have a complaints procedure, you've got to have a procedure in place what people can go down. So first thing I'll do is I'll ask people to send pictures and a video of the issue that they're on about. So when they send that, I can look at it. So rather than going out to site and running all over, going to houses all the time, which is our time's worth a bit of money. So it's you don't want to be running to houses all the time because people are saying, "Oh, I've got this, I've got that," and it's not your system that's failed. So what we do is we'll have a look at it, and you can normally tell by pattern of damp. So a leaking pipe has got a different pattern of damp to condensation forming in a corner, which is like an upside down cone. Rising damp is a different pattern of damp to penetrating damp. And an experienced surveyor who's done the job, who's actually been plasterer or who's been a technician, can look at that and go, to me that looks like this. So if he thinks it's part of the system they've installed breaking down, or if there's an issue with that, then we would go out and I'd have a look. Because what I want to know is if anything I've installed is not working, I want to know why. Because then once I've put that right, I don't want it to happen again. So I've gone through my sort of damp proofing career doing that. So we get less and less and less and less and less callbacks. And now we kind of get virtually none because I'm fitting everything. And And if there is an issue, I want to know why, and I'll go out and I'll have a look, and I'll say this is this. Yeah. So this is, and it's normally another issue. So it could be, I don't know, like a gutter started leaking in one place and splashing back onto a wall, and that's created an issue in place where, you know, before you installed this system, that gutter was sound. There were no water coming down. So is that your system breaking down, or is that, you know, another variant? For me, it's another variant, so it's not really your fault. But you know, you will fix it, but you'll fix it for a price. So companies aren't going to honour the guarantee if they're not still trading. And I think a few years ago there were an issue with our industry again, where companies had traded for so long and then they'd shut themselves down and then set up another limited company, keep all phone numbers and everything. I know a few around here that's done that. And once they've done that, the guarantees that were with the company before are not honoured. And that is frowned upon in the PCA. You know, they know about it. And if a company were in the PCA and did that, they won't get back in. You know, there'd be so start. We know it can happen. So, you know, they'd not get back in. So I think that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. So let me have a look who's next. KF just says, helpful hints and tips as always. Thanks, KF. Thanks a lot. Right, so I've switched that off. So I hope you've enjoyed this this little hour and a half that I've ended up doing, and I hope you've got some useful information. And if you've had any kids that wanted to put into sleep and you've just set this running, I hope that they're asleep. So there's one thing left for me to say, and that's thanks for joining us on this episode, and there'll be another one out next week. So that's Damp Sam signing off. Have a brilliant rest of your week. Bye-bye.